Hey, internet. For me, it's back-to-back recording. For you, I'm probably going to wait a day to release this just to spread that content out a little bit. But the wind's starting to behave a little bit again, so I figured we'd just record another one while we're out here. But if you happen to notice the sleeves, they're the same sleeves the other day, just in case you think I'm wearing the same shirt every day. Way too early for the scale. It just happened to be in my hand. Motorcycle. Brum, brum, brum. That's what my son says, or used to say whenever he sees a motorcycle. So, what are we looking at today? Cognito Jr. by LMS. Now watch this, ready? Watch the cap just come right off, see that? So when he ships these, he has a little bit of the plastic sticking out, I think just to kind of pinch it and wedge it in, but the caps on these, just first and foremost, feel like they're locked on there. When I got my superconductor buttons, it was almost impossible to pull the cap off. So we're not going to put ourselves through that today. But nice little logo on there. Comes with a nice sticker in the tin as well. So as opposed to your normal traditional type stickers, see how this is kind of like that cut sticker? So it comes on that plastic that's on the paper that holds that you put the sticker in place and then peel it off like a laminated decal kind of a thing. Really nice, and it's a much bigger one, so sweet. I must say this is on loan from the Rommel collection. He, you know, we've been chatting on Facebook a lot. He's a really cool guy. Really appreciate, you know, all the chatting and conversation we have. He's a fun guy to chat with. You know, we kind of started chatting when he won my first giveaway, or second giveaway, where I was doing that big 10 spinner giveaway, and he decided instead of having the spinner sent to him, he wanted to send it to somebody else so that they could have one. So it was really nice, really appreciated that, and we've kind of chatted ever since. And then, so he backed this on Kickstarter, and then opted to have it sent to me before it's sent to him so I can review it. So, love ya, kisses. So let's take a look at this bad boy. So this is the Cognito Jr. It's pretty small. We're going to pull this back out since we still have it with us because it's the same day for me again. Carver's Customs. Look at that polished stubby. So pretty small, pretty tiny, right? It's a little guy. I wish I had brought the superconductor buttons with it just to put it on here and play around with it and check it out, because I think they probably would have looked good on there. But I really dig these style buttons, so this for me was kind of a good test. I've got those superconductor buttons, and they're obviously really special because they're superconductor and they're fancy and they're nice and they look great. But this is the same style button, just in kind of a traditional material. And they do a lot of grip. I really like the feel of these buttons, so I'm a huge fan. And it's hard to do buttons that are really unique and really your own style that stand out. I mean, there's only so many things you can do, but he's really nailed it here with something that is his own style button. So we dig that. We're all for that. And here comes the wind again. Boo. Let's say boo, wind. Boo. Let's just look at the spinner. This is something I've been meaning to actually chat Rommel and let him know. There's a little bit of a scratch in here. Came that way. Depending on the light you get it in, sometimes it's sort of obvious, and then other times it's not at all. So it's got this black oxide finish that only really when you hit the light in just the right angle do you see it. So it's not super deep and super obvious, but it is kind of annoying that, you know, there's that sort of a finishing issue on this. So, and I know the guy puts in a lot of effort and a lot of work, but still at the end of the day, that's how it came. So, but she's a fancy little guy. So let's pop the buttons off. So I believe people had the option of getting this in 608 and 188 because it's got this little core. Now I'm not trying to, not trying to push any of that out. But it looks just like, you know, you could pop that out if you wanted a 608, and there's some glue in there, so now we know that it's glue. That looks like that, what is it? I think 222 is the red Loctite? I'm not sure, but that red Loctite is apparently, like, in there. So, anywho, so let's put these buttons back in there. So this guy is pretty sweet. I like this a lot. Now, there's a couple things to be said. I think maybe we'll just try to get the negative stuff out of the way, since we already kind of looked at that little scratch that was there. Now these are, I think this particular version was going for $115 on Kickstarter, and usually Kickstarter is going to be the cheapest you'll ever see that. So if we see this for less than $115, well, it sucks that you got in on the Kickstarter. But yeah, $115 kind of, I'll be honest, seems a little bit high for this guy for a couple reasons. Mainly because, well, we'll get into it in just a second, because the other negative I wanted to say is I think the shipping time on the Kickstarter, I think this was supposed to be out in June or July or something like that. And don't quote me on it, but I know they've been waiting a little longer than they were expecting. But I know at the same time the guy, you know, is busting his ass over there. So I don't want to come down on too much because I don't know the specifics. I wasn't in on the Kickstarter. I wasn't getting any of that communication. I just know that, you know, some of those folks had been waiting a while for it. So, but she's a good little spinner. So the one thing about the 115 price point where I'm not 100% sure about, a couple things. One, it looks like on their website they're advertising their larger spinners for in the neighborhood of around 80 bucks. And I think that actually might be for brass, so there might be something for the machining in that. But two, the balance on this for being a gear cutout, I would expect to be darn near perfect at that price point, and it's off just a little bit. So it's again, it's a gear, so it's kind of hard maybe to find the right one and show it. Yeah, see that? And for something in this size, I think I feel like I would really expect that to be dang near perfect. Now that said, we've said all the negative, we've said all the crap, we've gotten that out of the way. I still think that this is a fantastic spinner. Again, I think 115 maybe just a little bit high, but with getting that out of the way, this thing is really fun to fidget with. Now, I almost wish I'd brought my mini Aventador or something with me as well, because it is a tiny spinner, it is a micro spinner, right? It's just barely the size larger than the buttons, but it's very light too, because it is obviously a little spinner in stainless steel. But my guess would be somewhere in the 45 to 50 gram range still. Yeah, 43.8, so pretty good. This is actually, that was literally the first time I'll weigh it. No like camera trickery, you just have to trust my integrity. But it feels really nice, so it gets good spin times too for something this small. We're getting 330 on a vertical spin and about 230 on a table spin, so not too bad. But it's fun to fidget with. I'll tell you what I really like about this especially is if you do a two-handed spin, you really get it whipping, and then you just kind of gently rub it on your finger ever so slightly. It's just got this really nice little feedback. It's kind of a fun thing for me to do, I found. But you can get pretty good, quick little flicks off it any way you want to fidget with it. You know, these corners almost look like they'd be hot spots, but this size and weight, like flicking with your finger works, flicking on the top works. These buttons are high enough off the body so that there's no rubbing of your fingers against it, unless, again, you really got to work for it to get that in there. So you don't really get a lot of that accidentally. But even when you do, like, it feels pretty satisfying. All those little ridges really feel nice. So there is definitely a quality machine finish to this. Like, it doesn't feel like poorly finished for 115 by any means. Just again, I think that balance issue and that one little scratch just makes me feel like, I don't know if that's what I would expect. So but good little fidgeter. Like, it really is, you know, this is probably something, if I had to choose, if we took price out of the picture, well, if we took price out of the picture, I would definitely choose this over the mini Aventador. You know, I think the mini Aventador is solid and has the value because of the price range it's at, right? It's in that $30–$35 price range, where this is essentially three of those little Aventadors. But it's got amazing buttons that are going to go well on other spinners as well if you want to mix it up. So, and I'm sure that wind is terrible again, guys. I'm sorry. I'll just keep apologizing for the wind, right? That's not going to get old or annoying. Both hearing the wind noise and hearing me apologize. So, really nice little rounded gear, little edges. But again, I think he nailed it with the amount of hot spotness that there is here. On a bigger spinner with a lot more weight, I think this would be a problem, but on this guy, it's actually, I think, the right amount of grip and just kind of on the edge of what would be acceptable, where it doesn't feel like quite like a hot spot. It gives you a little bit of grip. It gives you a little nice little fun little feedback when you kind of rub it on your finger as it's slowing down. The black oxide finish as well, I gotta be honest, I didn't know what material this was when I first got it. I had to look at the little card, but that black oxide, whatever he's doing to do that, is just a beautiful, beautiful weathered finish. You're getting just a little bit of the stainless steel starting to come through on those edges and that contrast, and I just really dig that. She also warps pretty cool because it's such a cog style spinner that it once it starts to warp, it really does look like it starts to move backwards. You don't get a little too much distortion in the arms, so it's fun. We dig it. I like it. So it's also cool, the little angles that it does. That's because of the oh, what do they call that? Rolling shutter. So as the shutter exposes, it slowly moves through the frame. So as it exposes, the spinner's actually moving as it exposes, so that's why it exposes it at that angle. Because it's exposing the top part of the spinner just a little bit before the bottom part. Because again, it rolls down as it exposes. So just so you know what that's called, rolling shutter. There's a video on YouTube about it. This really explains it much better than that probably did, but if we spin it the other way, the slant goes the other way, because again, the spinner's moving as it exposes, so you can tell which way I spin it. That's actually kind of cool. Let's do a little bit more of that. I dig that. Look at me bend it, torque it. So, oh, this is the finger to do it with. Really kind of, it feels good. It's almost like a little buzzsaw in a way. Like it kind of reminds me of that, the way it grinds on your finger, but obviously there's not enough mass to actually hurt it, so We got kids running and screaming, having a good old time. We're at the park. One of the last probably few nice, really sunny days where it's still warm enough. Maybe not. We're getting that fall weather, but look at her span. So you can feel a little bit of that wobble with that balance. And actually, to be honest, even though I think that that's probably an issue with the machining, I might not have said it, that little bit of feedback that you get from it being slightly off balance, you really only feel at really high speeds, like when you really get it going. But it feels nice. I actually like the little bit of feedback that we get from this guy. So, and again, the balance isn't super horrible. I don't want to make it sound like I'm making a big deal of it. So, I guess time to close up and say, would I buy this for $115? So, for Hobby Timmy, no. I wouldn't buy this for $115. But what I can tell you is this really has me wanting one of the full-size ones. For me, the 115 in a mini micro spinner that I'm not a huge micro spinner fan. And again, this is up there. This is something I do enjoy more than the mini Aventador. Just again, I don't know if I enjoy it at that price. But for me, micro spinners aren't really my thing. But seeing the machining quality, right, balance aside, seeing the machining quality that's going on in this really has me wanting a full-size one. So I'm definitely keeping my eye out for that. I know he's released a few here and there, but the website really just says coming soon, so I don't know what the details are, but I'm sure we'll get into it. So sweet little spinner, Cognito Jr, LMS Designs, old Joey putting in some work in there. So I like what we're doing, we dig it. So I think that's going to do it for us. Let's just do a little sideways warp on our way out before I give you some kisses. It's kind of trippy. Whoa. Kisses, y'all. Kisses, Rommel. Thanks, bud.